my name's Brendel. I'm an instructor here at ProDive International, and today we have two awesome people with us. They're shark photographers. We have Claire and we have Andy Murch. What we're doing today is a cool little interview with them because we want to find out more about what they're doing. I'm actually going to ask Andy a few questions. So, Andy, what are you guys doing here at ProDive International and in Fort Lauderdale, Florida?
Well, we're on a 4 or 5 month tour. We're not exactly sure how long it's going to take, but we're trying to photograph all of the sharks and rays that we haven't photographed yet around North America. We started in Cabo San Lucas 2 months ago and traveled all the way up to San Francisco, and then came along to cut across to the Gulf of Mexico. We're traveling around Florida. We nip back to the Gulf and then go up all the way up the east coast to Canada.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you guys have seen some really cool stuff so far.
Yeah, it's been an amazing trip. I think we've photographed around
17 species.
Yeah,
17 species.
Yeah.
So now are you guys focusing on the typical apex predators, or are you looking for more endangered species, or what kind of sharks are you focusing on?
We'll take whatever we can get, but Andy's got a bit more of a specific focus. So.
Yeah, I'm more or less on an agenda. I've photographed a lot of the big predatory sharks that you see on TV and in magazines, you know, like great white sharks and tiger sharks and all those kinds of sharks. They're more or less already well represented in my portfolio and a lot of other commercial photographers' portfolios. So what I really want to photograph is the little guys that nobody ever sees, the ones that are very, very hard to approach on scuba, and that there's really only photographs of dead specimens that researchers have taken when the sharks are on the slab, you know. Okay. And these sharks are, as well as being difficult to photograph, a lot of them are also fairly endangered. There's a lot of them being wiped out by overfishing, and I think it's important that we can get some photographs of some of these sharks because obviously as a commercial photographer I sell my images, but the images that I can get of these little species can also be used by the World Wildlife Fund and the Shark Alliance and the IUCN and all these other agencies that have used my images in the past. And so I'm hoping I can just kind of add to all of the species I've got and we can do more conservation work with them.
Great. Can you give a few examples of some of the species that you're looking for from here on out?
From this point on, well, actually we just came from the Northern Gulf where we were working with Dr. Eric Hoffmeyer at the Gulf Coast Research Lab in Mississippi. And with him we photographed Atlantic sharp-nosed sharks that he was sampling in the Gulf. That was how we were able to approach them, because he brings them up on his long line to measure and tag them, and when he released them we were able to photograph them before they swam away. So it's kind of a hokey thing to do as a photography sense. It's not exactly a natural encounter, but it's a good way to shoot these little sharks that you otherwise wouldn't see. Right. When we leave here, initially we're heading up to Jupiter to photograph a bunch of different reef sharks. Most of those have already been shot already. If we're lucky, we'll get close to spinner sharks. They're very hard to photograph. And then from that point on, we actually go back to the Gulf to meet Dr. Hoffmeyer again, and he's going to hopefully put us on some fine-tooth sharks. Fine-tooth sharks, again, they grow to a meter or so long, and I don't know if there's any photographs of those in the wild. Yeah, right? Absolutely, extremely hard. So hopefully we can shoot them, and then we head to the East Coast. We go to another thing we're doing is we're working with a guy, I don't remember his name, but he has electric reels and he brings sharks up on fishing line from 1,000 feet. Wow. So
I have no idea what we're going to see. I mean, you could get anything, no idea. So that'd be really cool. Yeah. That's in the Gulf as well, so looking forward to that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We know that he gets Florida smoothhounds and various other species that nobody ever sees. You know, there are all these crazy little sharks that grow to this long, and they're phosphorescent, and they barely even look like sharks. They're so strange. And if we can photograph some of them, that would be a real coup. You know, that would be
cool. Yeah, because everybody always thinks of a shark as a great white or a tiger, right? But they never think of the baby, really endangered sharks which you guys are trying to do, which is amazing. And it's cool because you guys work with both scuba diving operators, right? And you also work with scientists as well.
Yeah,
we do.
It's been a pretty recent breakthrough for us, you know.
It was something we realized when we wanted to expand beyond what most photographers were able to accomplish. We started working with researchers. We also started working with fishermen. When we were in Baja before we arrived in California, we went to a town called Mulegé. And we were able to hook up with these fishermen that were longlining for Pacific sharp-nosed sharks. And it was kind of a weird thing to do. Nobody expected a shark photographer to suddenly show up and ask them if he could come along on their daily activities, but
they kept calling him Gringo Loco.
Yeah, Gringo Loco, the crazy guy. So, but I mean, they were pretty happy. They were interested in the whole idea. I don't know if they just thought they'd get on camera, or if they bought into the concept that it would be good to photograph these sharks. It was all in Spanish, and my Spanish is not very good, so I did what I could. But anyway, they let me go out on their panga, and I jumped in with the sharks as they were bringing them up. They're shaking their heads, you know, going, "What is this gringo doing?" And I photographed the sharks on the long line. That's some pretty impactful footage, you know. If you can get something like that, you know, sharks coming up on a long line, that can be used for conservation work. And then they kept, obviously, most of their sharks. That's their job. And but I actually bought a shark off them and released it and photographed that shark.
Really?
So yeah, and
we need more people like you.
And it was ridiculous. I mean, they only caught these guys laid 4 kilometers of long lines, 1,400 hooks, and they got 8 sharks about this long.
Was there any bycatch?
Yeah, you got 2 or 3 little snappers that they also kept.
Yeah.
But one little shark came up. It was more lively than the others. I thought it had a good chance of making it, so I asked him if I could buy it off them, and we worked out weight for weight what they earned from this shark, and I was able to buy it for $2.
$2.
$2, yeah. And I mean, so. And what I was left with from this encounter, after I released the shark and photographed it, we're on our way back in ashore, and I thought, well, if that's all they're earning, what would it cost to keep these guys at home? You know, it takes away their self-esteem. You've got to give them something else to do. You can't just say, we'll pay you not to work. But that's so cheap to stop people long-lining. There's got to be a way that we can do that on a bigger scale.
Have you thought of any ideas that could possibly help in regards to that? Because I know there's a lot of places where the fishermen, just by preservation, their background, their father and their father have been fishermen for years. So
some
something
of them have
that they
turned
want to do.
Tourism, you know, they've made that switch, and that's worked in some communities. But
yeah.
But these guys are, you know, they're not the scourge of the earth as some shark conservationists like to think. They're very proud guys. They're fishermen. And they're fishing in the same way that people fish for all other species, you know, so they don't feel that they're doing anything particularly wrong. They do understand there's a problem. They are from a good lineage of fishermen, and they're just doing what their dads have done, as you say, but they realise, a lot of them, that they need to make a change now if they can, but they have no way of doing it. They don't know what to do. And there is, in Baja, there's an organisation called Emmanuel Oceanica, which is based down in La Paz, and this is an NGO which is taking conservation on a slightly different direction. What they do is they go into a shark fishing village, and they talk to the fishermen that are there, and they say, okay, we know there's a problem, you know there's a problem. We're not going to tell you what to do, because that's just rude, you know, to come in and say you've got to live your life this way.
Right.
So they say, but if you can come up with a game plan of an alternative sustainable industry that your village can take part in, then you present that to us, we'll figure out if it works. And if it does, we'll give you financial support to help start it off, and we'll help your business plan and help you jump through all the hoops to make it work.
That would be great.
And they've been successful. Some of them have changed into tourism, as Claire was saying. You know, taking people out whale watching, that kind of thing. Yeah, there's one village has switched to a desalination plant, so they're creating fresh water now instead of killing sharks. And there's a number of these things that they've decided to do. Some of them really off the wall that you wouldn't expect, but they came up with that, they chose it, so why not? So if we can promote that, I think that's great.
Well, guys, thank you for coming out on the Pro Diver 2, and thank you for meeting with us. It's a pleasure to meet people of your caliber, you know, traveling around the world, saving sharks and promoting ocean conservation. So thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thanks for taking us diving.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thanks for the invitation. That was great.
You're welcome.
Okay.